Hi, good people. How are you? I hope you are doing well. Listen, y'all, I got a question to ask you. You remember growing up, you would try to get a job, or something would happen, or it'd be all kinds of things going on, or you would try to get a program, or you would try to get this, or you would try to get that. And there was always a lot of rejection. There was always a lot of pushback. There was always a lot of just negativity every time you tried to move forward. And do you remember that people would always say it's the system? Remember that? And you would hear it over and over again. You hear it in your family, you hear it at church, you hear it everywhere, right? Most of the time, the church says the devil or Satan. But for the world talk, what was the thing you were told? Man, it's the system. You try to go sign up for a program, other people get ahead, you don't, they block you. Man, it's the system. Y'all remember that growing up? Well, guess what? We're going to talk about that today. I think it's important that we break down what is the system? Why do people call it the system? We're going to define what these systems are that we are talking about, how these systems have been affecting us generational. So have you ever heard people say, oh, there's a generational curse? Man, we got to break these generational curses. Now, let's stop for a moment. Your creator that created you and that designed you never designed that you would be in a generational curse. Never even spoke those words over you. Never even implied those words or thought those words over you. So where do generational curse comes from? What are these cycles? Because remember, cycles are repetitive. They're also series. So here, at TCLN, this month's theme is going to be about reflections and resolutions. Let me say that again, reflection and resolutions. Not the kind of resolution that, everybody makes every year when we go into a new year. I'm gonna lose about 50 pounds. I promised myself this time I'm in. Not that kind of resolution. It's going to be about the system. It's going to be about reflecting about this thing that we call the system and really getting clear on what is the system, where the generational cycles come in at, where the series come in at. Because remember, you got series, you also have cycles. But we're going to break that down, okay? Stay with me, stay tuned. This is going to be good, guys. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Critical Line Network, where insight meets analysis and conversations really do spark transformations. I am IBK. So, like I said, this month's theme on TCLN is going to be about reflections and resolutions. And so what I wanted to start out with today is what's called the system. But before we start defining what this actual system is, how this system is tied to the mark, which is called 666, or also known as the mark of the beast, let's start by defining problem. Because as you can see, America has a problem, and it's had a problem for a very long time, but it's not the only one. The world has a problem, and we see what that problem is, which is what we refer to as the system. So let's define first things first. I want to go over definitions with you guys because a lot of times we think we know what definitions mean, but until we fully break them down, then we grapple the whole of the subject. And that's what we want to do. We want to walk away from today's video, today's show, today's episode, whatever you want to call it. You want to walk away with a clear understanding of what you truly was listening to and how it came together as a whole. So number one, problem. It is a situation, condition, or issue. Let me say that again. Situation, condition, or issue that creates difficulty, challenges, obstacles that need to be addressed or resolved. Now, the reason why I wanted to read that, because a lot of times we say, man, a problem. But we're talking about the energy of a thing or whatever it is that's making us feel uncomfortable. But we're not really looking at the word problem and what it actually means, which means a situation. You know, we find ourselves in situations sometimes, or it mean a condition. If you look at the condition of mankind, since it's been in this thing that's called the system, look at the condition of the underserved. Look at the condition and health of humanity. Look at the condition of the world. Look at the condition and state of the world. Do you understand that? So we're going to break that down today. And let's just say issue. Maybe you're dealing with a little issue. You know what I'm saying? So it's just letting you know those are the different levels of what's called a problem. Now, what I want to touch on before we get to where we're going to today, a problem represents two spaces, your current state and your desired state. So when you say I have a problem, you know that something needs to be solved, right? So in that, there's a gap. So you have your current situation or your current state, they like call it state, and also your desired state. So let's just say you don't have a job and you need some money. That's your current state. But your desired state is that you find a job that's beautiful, that's wonderful, a great boss, a lot of money, whatever. You can use your skills, you can lose your talent, and you got your dream job. That's your what? Desired state. But in between there, you're dealing with what? The gap. There's a gap between there before you get to where you at to where you're trying to get to. And the reason why I wanted to hit on that is because where we're at right now is we're at the current state when we're dealing with the system and we're in the gap. So we haven't quite gotten to our desired state yet. Okay, so that's why I wanted to touch on that. Now that I have that out of the way, let's go ahead and start talking about, and I want to hit on one more thing before we get there. The breaking down of problems. That's why it's important that we go over information, because what happens is we just go in life and we're trying to figure it out and we have all this stuff going on and we're not breaking down the meanings and the different terms and the intricacies of really breaking down information. You understand what I'm saying? Because what we really are is a makeup of spirit and information. You understand that? And we operate by information that we're either fed or we feed ourselves or the world is feeding us. You understand that? So when it comes to a problem classification, you're looking at a simple problem, right? Simple problems are easy. You can easily define them. You can easily fix them. Let's just say your dog, it got caught. You hear a noise, and you're trying to figure out what is that? And you get up and you start looking around. All of a sudden, you recognize that the garage door went down and your little doggy's tail stopped up in there. You easily fix the problem. You flip on the switch. The thing comes up. You love your dog and you move on, as long as his tail is not cut off or something, right? Complex problem. A complex problem needs deeper analysis and may involve multiple factors or multiple people. Now, when you look at the word system, what does the system involve? It involves multiple people. You cannot have a system without people. Let me say that again. You cannot have a system without people. It is people who create systems. You understand that? And most of the time, there are multiple people within these systems that make these systems complex. And then you're dealing with what's called a highly complex problem. These problems are usually not easy to define at all. They're not tangible. The mind is missing the information to solve it. And it's not just your mind, it's the whole mind. It's a lot of people's minds. Everybody's looking for that answer, but it's a highly complex that may even have a simple answer, but for some reason it has been blocked from the spiritual mind of individuals. Okay? So I kind of wanted to go over that. Again, now that we're out of understanding a problem and how those problems have different levels, and understanding that when you have a problem, it can either be a condition, which is what we're looking at, our worldwide condition. And that's why everybody keeps saying the system, right? It could be an individual problem. You understand what I'm saying? So even though individual problems usually stem from outer problems, which they really do, outer influences out of this, but you deal with it individually and internally, because nobody is trying to help you solve that problem. It's just a problem of your own, and you have to deal with it. You understand what I'm saying? Whether that's through prayer, whether you may have your different regimes on how you deal with it, your different mental ways on how you process it, but you consider it to be an individual problem. Okay, now let's go over system. Because again, a lot of times we think we know what system means. We just know it's bad. Everybody keeps saying, that system ain't no good. The system is broken. The system is this and the system is that. But what is broken? What is the system? Again, let's look at it. So system, pay attention, guys. This is very important. I'm telling you. The reason why this is so important is because knowledge is beautiful. Information is beautiful, but it needs to be translated in such a way where intricacies are broken down. So when you're looking at the information, you're getting a whole. If I just get up here and I just start talking about the system, the system ain't no good. The system been trying to hold us down. The system this and the system that and the system that. Okay, everybody say that. But what exactly is this system you're talking about? What is the intricacies of this system? How do we get into the deep meat of this system? Let's go there. So system, it is a set. I want you guys to pay attention to how they define system. So it's not one idea. It's not two ideas. It's not one energy. It's not two energy. It's a set. In other words, it's collective. It is a set of thoughts, ideas, notions, concepts, impressions, plans, strategies, and viewpoints. A whole set, a whole conglomerate, the system, that work together to achieve a specific purpose or function. You understand that, right? So a system can be a good thing. Let's just say you're building a business and you think of your own ways of doing things. That's your system. You understand what I'm saying? But that's not what we're referring to today. We're referring to the thing that everybody refers to as the system. Now, systems can be physical, tangible, conceptual, so they can be concept, or they can be abstract. They are organized in a way. So systems are organized in such a way that they allow the flow of information, the energy of information, and the materials of information. Now, how many people know that information is energy and energy is information? How many people know that? Have you ever had people give you information? They come up to you and they say something to you, and depending on what it is, we either label it as positive or negative. You understand what I'm saying? Or it uplifted my spirit, or it tried to tear down my spirit, or it did something. It was information though, right? It was a communication. It was information. So now let's look at the word orchestration, because that's really what system means. It means a set of something that works in an intricate way because it wants a desired outcome. Now, that's usually what's called an orchestration. So when you look at the word orchestra, or you look at an orchestra, people who in the bands and all that kind of stuff, they orchestrate themselves in such a way that they give the audience a desired outcome. So if they wanted to orchestrate a piece, I really don't know the technicals for it, but they have a piece of song and they're doing the strings and they're doing the music, and they want for you to feel sad. What they're going to do is they're going to orchestrate the information, orchestrate the song. Most of the time, the orchestra is not even singing song. It's pure music. They're going to orchestrate the vibe, the tune, the this and that, so they can tap into you and you can feel sad. And then when they're ready to hit the other songs, they will lift you up. You understand what I'm saying? So orchestration is just simply means something put together so that it can get a desired outcome, a desired effect upon something else. Okay? Now, when it comes to the actual system, you must understand that the underlining of a system, or this thing we call the system, is deliberate, it is skillful, and it is willful. So that means that nothing is happenstance. That means that nothing is accidental. There's no such thing as whoop-a-tuba, it was an accident. It again is deliberate, it's skillful, and it is willful. In other words, it is done by will. And I'm going to go to the scriptures and I'm going to help you to see that too. For those who say what they believe in, that's fine, because it's even in scripture, all the way from the Old Testament all the way from Genesis, all the way on down. So it shows you that this system has a will, and it's skillful, and it's intelligent, and it's brilliant, deliberately knows what it is doing to get its desired outcome. Okay, so I know that that's a little bit what you call tedious or whatever you want to call it, but a lot of people just don't break it down, and we need to break it down. We need to really get, okay, we need to get that picture, right? Get that picture. Now, remind you, when you're dealing with a system deals with people, resources, and processes. Again, it could be a business system, people, resources, and processes. It could be 666, people, resources, and processes. It could be you taking care of the way you take care of your family at home, people, resources, and processes. Everything we do is based off of people, resources, and processes. You understand that? So, this system that we're speaking of, though, it's an ungodly system. And I'm going to show you how it's tied in to what a lot of people call rejection. But it's really not rejection like you think it is. What it is that some of them that they're not telling you because they're not being honest with you, and a lot of people are not preaching about it today. What this thing is that we think or that you think is rejection, it's not rejection. What it is that most companies and most people have accepted the mark. If you have not accepted the mark, you get denials. Remember, you got to go back to the scripture. What the scripture reminded us of is that the beast would be cruel. The beast would try to destroy the people. The beast would try to crush the people. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to really make it clear for you. Let's look at COVID. Remember when COVID hit and there was such a threat with people receiving the COVID? You were being threatened to have your livelihood taken away. You were being threatened to be fired. You would be threatened. There were people who worked on their jobs 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. They put a lot in. Even some of the officers that if they didn't take it, even some of the nurses that did, if they didn't take it, they would be fired. And it was brutal. Remember, it was on national TV. Some of the people would get up there and talk, and it was brutal. And they said, we will replace you. We will do this. It was brutal. So when you go back and look at what the scripture defines as the beast, which is known to us as the system, which is known to us as 666, it allows you to understand what this system is. Why is it so cruel? Why is it so just? Because remember, everything that people go through, and it's so much injustice, what are they referring to? The system. But what is the system? Do you know that in scripture, 6 and 3 score and 6 is a system? Yes. And that system is created by who? Man. The scripture tells you that. It tells you that the mark of the beast is the number of man. So it's allowing you to know that they created these systems. And then it said that these systems would go on to do what? To deceive the whole. So that means that the majority of people would be highly deceived behind the system. Remember, it tells you that. How many of us been deceived? How many of us been manipulated? How many of us been lied to? It tells you that. But it also tells you that the beast, which is the mark, which is the system, remember, system is a way of doing things. System is a mode of operation. You understand that? That it would go on to be cruel to people. It would mistreat people. It would stomp on people. It would try to devour people. It would mock people. And it would demand that people do what it said do and bow down and worship it. Now you think bow down and worship means, oh, this little God right here, I'm just going to worship this little God. It's so much bigger than that. Bow down doesn't necessarily mean a particular God. It just means you bow down to the system. You understand? So it's characteristics of what this particular system is. And that's why I wanted to go over that with you. Because maybe a lot of your job rejections, because I just went over a video not too long ago, you guys, that over 2.5 million Black Americans are unemployed. We're talking about current. This is a current report from the White House that was sent out October. October was just what, last month? Well, the month before November. I'm saying it wrong because this is December. We just in December. But this is a new report. This is not something 2 years ago. How can that many blacks in America be unemployed? So it lets you know that there's almost like 40 million blacks, right? And the percentage of blacks are 2.5 million. They gave you a percent of 5.7, I believe, of blacks who are unemployed. But if you translate it to numbers, when they put it in numbers, it's actually approximately 2. And the blacks, certain blacks, not all blacks, but certain blacks have been at this unemployment level for a very, very long time in this system, what they call system. And so I wanted to jog our memory. Sometimes it's good to bring things from, how people used to say things to how people are talking today, because then you will see that everything is just the same. It's just that words change, slangs change and slogans change. Because remember when all that stuff will go on back then, people say, oh, child, it's just the system. Now everybody say it's Satan. Now everybody say, it's just that negative energy, but it's still all the same thing, right? So again, let's go ahead and define what you call cycles and series, because this thing has affected everybody, not just in America, but in the world, period. You're looking at Africa, where it affected Africa. You're looking at different countries, where it affected different countries. And you're definitely looking at how it affected America. 2. So series is defined as a sequence of related things or events arranged in a particular order, okay, that are related to episodes, installments. Now think about your favorite television show that come on every Thursday. Let's just say you like Scandal, or maybe you like, I don't know, whatever them shows are out there. I haven't watched them in a long time, so, but you got Scandal, you got like all the different shows out there, right? And your 1 hour shows. Those are known as episodes and series. So since I've been to Hollywood before, I kind of know about that. So I know how to kind of correlate that. So again, these series, there are a sequence of related events. When you look at film is nothing more but a sequence of related film chips that go at a fast rate to make it look and appear like motion is happening, things are happening. You understand what I'm saying? To create a world and a story for you. Well, in the context of this system that we're talking about, it has created such a sequence of related things or events that are arranged in a particular order that are repetitive in our lives, which is known as what's called cycles. So cycles are the process of an event or a series of actions that repeat in a regular, predictable manner. So how many people say, oh man, they just going around in circles. Oh man, them just some cycles, man. You got to break them generational curses, generational cycles. But then again, we don't talk about where it comes from. When we're in the church, that people just talk about sin. But all sin ain't your sin. Some things are perpetrated against you. You understand that? So sin is just simply transgressions. That's what sin is. It means that I've either done you wrong or you done me wrong, or we've done God wrong, or whatever it is. But it's just transgression. It's sin. And sin has consequences and effects, right? So when you look at this thing called the system, how has this thing affected and brought us through cycles and series and episodes and this movie that the world is watching? Like, I just want to give an example, right? It's so vindictive, some of the things that people do in the earth, some of the weird things and crazy things. Just like when there's a battle over jobs in America, people are started, like races are started race baiting and start labeling. Like there were people who were saying that, we Mexicans, we work very, very hard, and we're not like black people, where they lazy and this and this and that. We work hard, we this and this and that. And I'm like, but that's a lie. That's a lie. It's not true. There are blacks that work hard. There are Mexicans that work hard. And then there are blacks that's lazy. And then there are Mexicans that are lazy. Have you ever seen them cleaning? They didn't even clean it right. It's spot still right there. They didn't even sweep it up. So when people just make up these ideas, of just trying to manipulate information, manipulate the way things are. And the reason why I bring that up is because when you got 2.5 million people out of jobs, do you really believe that it's because they're lazy, or have they been done over by the system? Because surely out of 2.5 million blacks, I'm pretty sure 2.5 million ain't lazy. I'm pretty sure of that. So again, when these things are happening in the system, people will make up stories and they will make up ideas so they can cover up the evil events that are being done to make it look like it's something else when it's really something else. And that's the cover. Do you understand that? Now let's break down what we've always heard as systemic or systemic racism, because this ties into what's called the beast. Believe it or not, it does. The 666. Now, is it the only thing? No. You have all kind of orders and all kinds of things. It could be racism. It could be all kind of stuff, but it all ties into what's known as the mark, as the 666, as the system, as the beast. Systemic refers to something affecting the entire system. So we refer to the system, right? And systemic means something done methodically. I'm telling you, all this stuff is intentional, y'all. You being rejected for jobs over and over and over. You're being kept down. You're being said that you're lazy. Things are being said. This is intentional. These things are not accidents. They're intentional. They're methodical. A system is methodical. It's intentional. It knows what it's doing. And that system, don't forget, is made up of people. Okay? So, system, a set of things working together as parts of a mechanism or internally network or interconnected. Let me say it again. So system as parts of a mechanism or an interconnectivity. That means they interworking, network, working together to get these desired outcomes that they want. It's also a set of principles and procedures. In other words, it just means the way, the operation, how things is done. Systemic racism is a form of racism that is embedded within practices, policies. So this racism, what they call racism, in other words, we will consider certain races to be certain things and certain other races of less quality. This is embedded within institutions, within ideas. You guys, do you know that I did not know that there was a such thing as white supremacist churches? Now, I knew that there was a such thing as white supremacy, because I've always heard of it all my life. But being the church always talking about Jesus and love and all this kind of stuff, I had to experience traveling the United States of America to know that there was a such thing that's called white supremacist churches. I'm not talking about the Ku Klux Klan. I'm not talking about people with rallies on. I'm talking about churches where there's all white people there and they do not socialize with you. I was like, this is real. But it's a system, just like anything else is a system. When black people want to control other black people, manipulate other black people, dominate other black people, it's no different from the white supremacy system. It's just blacks doing it on blacks. Again, the system. Now let's tap into some key characteristics, and then we're going to tap into the mark and how it's tied in. So key characteristics of a system. You have the components, the parts or elements that make up the system. So we said that, right? The parts or elements. You got the parts, which are the people, the ideas, the thoughts, the stuff that they plan out in their hearts. Remember, the scripture says that the enemy plans and plots and deceives and devises a thing. So systems, components. Components. Also, the next one is interconnections. Interconnections, in other words, relationships and interactions between the components. So whatever a system is, whatever its components is that make up that system, you have the interconnections of that system. All the relatable and relations of things that make up and in between that. Boundary. So the word boundary, it defines what's in the system and what's outside the system. How many people know that when it comes to the 666, or what they call the mark of the beast, or the system, that there will be people that would willingly accept the mark, that would get what they want for a time period. And there will be those that don't want to accept the mark, and they will be outside what's called the boundary. In other words, they will be the ones who are treated cruel. They will be the ones who are stepped on and dogged out and done dirty in this world. You understand that? Boundary. It's just like in project management when you say scope. What's in scope? What's the work we're going to do? What's out of scope? The work we're not going to touch. We got to stay focused. So in this case, in what's called the system, your boundary is going to be people who are within that boundary, who has accepted that system, versus those who have not. And they look to a higher power that's different from that. Now, mind you, you can have a job and you can still be being crushed by the system. How many of y'all guys been complaining that you be on these jobs and they're treating you bad, they dogging you out, they getting together, they gossip, they do this, and all the bad people keep their job, but then they get rid of the good people. And you know that you was doing a good job. And then you back at square one, they keep knocking you back at square one, trying to knock the life out of you, right? Now, purpose, because all systems have a purpose. In other words, they're trying to achieve something, whether it's a positive system or a negative system. The goal or function or desired result designed to accomplish the goal of the system. What is the mark designed to accomplish? Let's tie it in now. What is, when we keep talking about system, let's be honest, what are we referring to when we say in the system? It can't be just systemic white racism. If blacks are doing it to you too, if Mexicans are doing it to you too, if Latinos are doing it to you too. So it has to be a bigger system, right? And that's the system that the Bible refers to. It refers to the system of 6, 66. That number, that representation of man, is letting you know that that's a system. And it also lets you know that system has a purpose. Now, what is the purpose of that system though? Rebellion against who? The true source. I'm not talking about these guys they made up. I'm not talking about these religions they concocted up. The true source. They are in rebellion against our true nature, our true source, our true design, because they want to control. They want to sit in the seat of God. And when you don't bow down and do what they say do, they become cruel towards you. They hate you. They disdain you. They outcast you. They will act like they're giving you a job. Why? Because they need your energy. They can't make it happen without your spirit, without your energy. But then they don't like you and mistreat you. And they step on you and they stomp on you. You guys better wake up to what this system really is. It ain't even Satan like you think it is. It's exactly what the scripture says. It is the mark of man, and man is the one who created this rebellious system against our true source, the way things are really supposed to flow and designed to be, versus what they try to make it be. And if you look up the makeup of this system, you can't just say white people. That would be foolish. It is all kind of people in the system. And when they are on the side of the mark, they are very brutal toward other people. Very brutal. They throw you out of buildings. They dog you out. They do all kinds. They try to make trouble for you. They try to make you uneasy and uncomfortable. They try to make you unstable. They are brutal in what they do. They try to keep you, and then they have everybody laughing at you. You know, all the ones who accepted the mark. They love to laugh at you and make fun of you. But don't despair, because the source is the true system. And the source, if the source has given you vision and given you light and given you understanding, you better rest assured that that source has a plan. So they want you to bow down and worship these false gods they made up, these false ideas that they made up, because they know that that separates you from the connection of your true source. Oh, they'll give you money, they'll give you stuff, but they know that they put the mark on you. And you accept the mark because you accept what? The deception, the lie, the deceit. And then they treat you so cruel. How can they treat you so cruel? How can people talk about a God all day long and treat you so cruel? Get with it, y'all. Input. Also, the key characteristics of a system is the input and output. The systems are, okay, to continue. The system, the inputs and outputs. The system receives inputs. In other words, energy. data, which is information, resources. So this system, that's the mark, even though it tries to treat you like trash, even though it tries to destroy your spirit, it uses your energy. It tries to take advantage of you, your ideas, your brilliance, your talents, your gifts. And then it has the nerves to try to mock you and laugh at you. But it hates you to the core of who you are, which is the source's creation, because it hates the source. It's in rebellion. It wants to play like it talks. It'll talk a lot of church talk. It'll talk a lot of synagogue talks. It'll talk a lot of stuff talks, but it's not talking about the real source. And it's in rebellion to the real source. And it hates your guts. And then it want to play like it's all about God. So again, it has inputs, outputs. It receives inputs and it outputs outputs. So again, the key characteristics of a system are the components, the interconnections, boundary, purpose, inputs, and outputs. It's important that we break that stuff down because you see how intricate this stuff is? And then people wonder why it's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. You know how people manipulate that song all the time? You understand that slavery was yesterday, honey. Y'all quit talking about slavery. Do you understand that? So this is not just about slavery of being brought on what they call ships and stuff like this. This is the slavery of human mankind dealing with, because white people are enslaved, blacks are enslaved, everybody, like it don't matter what race, who you are. Slavery, the system has enslaved humanity. It ain't easy to say goodbye to yesterday, baby, when the system is in operation from generations to generations. Do you understand that? And this is not just a black and white game. It's beyond that. Okay. Now, I want to tap into a few more things because usually when we talk about the system, we always relate it to race, right? So it's about race or it's about money or it's about power and stuff like that. But it runs a little deeper than that. If you really study the system is infiltrated in every single thing. I mean, in everything that has ever existed and been known to mankind. So just like our true source is supposed to be infiltrated through everything throughout our lives, of course, what the system did was deceive the people and infiltrated everything throughout our lives. Not only are you looking at race inequality and disparities and justice, the education and social system, employment, healthcare, all these inequities, economic inequality, all of these things. So they keep giving everybody the runaround. It's about race. It's about race. They lying to you, boo. Remember, those who accept the mark are not just white people. They're lying to you, sweetheart. They're lying. That's why they keep sending you around in what they call cycles and series with race, and they're not being honest with you. And that's why people who can look like you can do damage to you and can hate you because they are part of that system. I'm telling you guys, it's deep. Not just education, healthcare, gender, men hating women, women hating men, the environment. Look at what the system has done to the environment. It has polluted the water. It has sold up the water. It's starting to charge. Do you know that the water is higher than the sodas now? Like, how do water become higher than sodas, guys? How do you have a $3 bottle of water and the soda is two something? Like, and the soda is supposed to be bad for you and the water is supposed to be natural for you, okay? And that ain't got nothing to do with inflation either. They just been doing that. But water is your survival source. But the beast tries to destroy you so much that when it makes you incompetent and without resources, that you will even hunger for water. Making that water so high like that, that's ridiculous. That water should never be like that. Never, never, never. I can understand sugary drinks, right? Because that is a product that's made. And then people have a choice whether they want that product or not. But water is natural to humanity. They must have it. And to do it like that and to put it all up and to charge that much money for it, that's insane. Again, that's the system. That's not God's system, but that's their system. It's in policy reform, the system. It's in communities, the system. It's in churches, the system. It's in synagogues, the system. It's in rabbis and preachers and all kind of people, the system. How many people know that every preacher don't have your best interests at heart? That some of these preachers out here will sell you out less than 2.5 seconds. Why? Because they are part of the mark. They just fooling the people. The system, okay? Mental health, mental illness, putting people on all these pills. The system, putting your little children on. Y'all know, go back and look at my video. I did a video over how almost like, what was that, 6 point something million kids, I forgot the number, that they have medicated in America. Do you not understand that that's the mark of the beast? How do you take children from ages 0 to 5, from 5 to 10, and you put them on psychotic meds? That is the mark of the system. In other words, what the mark of the beast really means, if you guys want to know, it is a system that said we will not go by who the source really is. We will make our own system. We will do our own thing, and we will do it our way. So it's a system of rebellion. It's a system of sorcery. It's a system of deception. That's why over and over and over, it says that they deceive the people. But it's not Satan like you keep thinking it is. That's not what the scripture says. It says, take on wisdom. This is the number of man. In other words, this is man that made this up. Okay? So how many people have went to churches and the church dogged you out? Churches be dogging certain people out. They don't do that to everybody, just like those jobs don't do that to everybody. But there are certain people in the earth, they just be dogging them out, targeting people, dogging them out. And you know what I found out? Because we're living in the mark. We're not waiting on the mark to happen. We're not waiting on the beast to happen. The beast has been going on for years. You've been seeing it all across the world. Killings, destruction, mass murders, wars, and all kind of, it's been going on. That's the beast. That is the mark. That's the system. So I wanted to come to you guys today, and I just wanted to break that down, guys. You know, I wanted to break that down because, like I said, this whole month of December, I'm going to cover, reflections and resolutions concerning the system. You understand? No longer do you need to sit back and say, it's because of my skills. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of that. And you know you skilled. You know you talented. You know you do a good job. You know you want to work. You know you're not lazy. But you're being counted out, and you've been counted out for years. Oh, you go to churches. You can't even go to churches no more. You go to churches, they dog you out. You go to certain sick-a-goos, they dog you out. They don't need, like, y'all know I'm not lying. Because there be whole conversations everywhere and people talking. That is the mark. That is the mark. Do you understand that? And it talks about how this system would treat the people. You understand that? Now, in my conclusion, I hope you guys can get a little bit of what I was saying when we keep referring to the system, and nobody really says, well, what is the system? Everybody just want to say, oh, it's white supremacists. Oh, it's these white folks, these rich folks. These rich folks been trying to keep us down forever. No, it's bigger than that. It's poor folks that's a part of the system. Remember, both big and small was made to bow down and worship the beast. It said that some will begin to wake up, and that the beast would be cruel, and the beast would torture some, mistreat others, and some even kill. Now you're going to tell me that y'all ain't been watching that show? I don't know what TV you tuning into, baby, but everybody else tuning in, they've been looking at this across the world. So I just wanted to come back and say that after all those years, when everybody say, honey child, it's just a system, but they wasn't telling you what that system is, I'm here to tell you, even what the scriptures have already told you, that's what the system is. And it's doing exactly what it said that it would do. So if you're dealing with those challenges and you're dealing with those things, I am here to remind you, you don't give up on yourself. You don't think that you're a bad person. You don't think that you're unworthy or whatever these psychoses because remember, the system produces negative outcomes. It produces generational outcomes, series of outcomes, cycles of outcomes. Even people who say that they're successful, if you don't watch them and they really don't have the source, God, with them, they're greedy, they're manipulative, they're conniving, they'll try to take you for everything you got. They're still a part of that system. Do you understand that? So understand what the system is and how it has affected human life. America, Africa, Brazil, Mexico, China, everywhere you can think of. And even though I'm naming all these places, you can name every place in the world. Right now, I just want to talk about America because I was born and raised in America. But the system, which is known as the mark, which is known as 666, which the scripture says 6 3 score and 6. That is the system. So when a lot of people talk about rejection, they don't understand why the rejection. They're not explaining it to you. They're not breaking it down. They're not giving you the truth. They just say, oh, God gonna bless you with a job. Oh, God gonna bless you with a job. Yeah, but you gotta pay attention though. Because a lot of times you get the jobs and then they mistreat you. You get the jobs, then they dog you out. You understand that? So if you notice, most of your corporations have accepted the mark. That's usually in their labeling. That's usually in their icons and all of that. So the majority, now I'm gonna be honest on a few things. So let's break it down. When you're dealing with a company can only hire so many people. And then you have all these thousands of people that are unemployed. So there's only so many they can take on. Now, when you're dealing with a company that has, and that's just the truth, that could be a good company or a bad company. But when you're dealing with a company that has accepted the mark, we're talking about it's a company that worships the system of the beast and the mark. Those are the companies that tend to treat good people bad. Oh, they laugh and talk with all of the bad people, the gossips, the liars, the ones that be doing stuff they ain't got no business. But when it comes to the good people, they tend to try to crush them and destroy them. I want you to remember that, right? They give them problems. They give them all kinds, but they constantly sucking on and using their vibration and using their goodness and using their energy, but at the same time trying to make sure that they don't excel, always keeping them down in the company, always knocking them back down, getting rid of them somehow, always doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? And the people got to start back at square one. Here, keep. It's got to start back up at square one. You understand that? You understand that? So yeah. So now, with that being said, I hope you get a clearer picture of what this system actually is. Because if you think it's just racism, you're wrong. The scripture never referred to the system, the mark, as racism. It referred to all. And the types of people who would accept this mark and then what they would do to other people. We're not waiting on the beast. The beast is in play. The mark is in play. It's always been in play. So even when you go back and read the scriptures, it will tell you that. In the scriptures, it says, even now it is happening. Even now it is so. So it was given a message, right? So just so you'll know. So that's what we live in. We live in this system, which is what the Matrix was trying to tell you. So even though they manipulated the matrix, they put some truths to it, but they also put some falsehoods to it. But that's what the matrix was telling you. It's the system. It's letting you know it's that mark. It's the beast. So you can't say race because all races exist in the system. And if they have that mark, they do very, very evil things to people on jobs, in companies, people who are trying to build business. It's just so much. They try to deny you for resource. Like they try to do everything against you. Everything. Do you understand that? To try to keep you from being all that your true source designed you to be. So it's a real battle, y'all. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close. I just hope that you got a clearer understanding of the system and how it has affected us on so many multiple levels that are beyond race. I mean, beyond race. It's not just racism, guys. It is beyond race. It is horrible what this system has done to the psyche of mankind, to the spirit of mankind, to the hearts of mankind. It's a horrible thing. You understand that? And humans every day are suffering internally. They don't tell you that. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. How you doing? Hey, but these spirits and these connections and these people who connected themselves on to us, and this darkness and all this dark energy, all this stuff that people are not honest about. They'll get up and they'll shout and everybody be shouting, but they ain't honest about what they really dealing with or that energy or what's going on. You understand what I'm saying? So again, I just wanted to be able to share that and how that stuff has so affected us. And yes, there's positives you can look at. Of course, I look at them in my life every day, but that does not take away from that we're living in the actual system. And remember, there are religious people who have accepted the system, and you wonder why they're cruel to certain people. Now they nice to everybody that's like them, but they're cruel to certain other people. And a lot of people just began to leave the churches because of the things that were happening. And so I'm going to leave with that, so that you can understand what this is. So when you keep getting all this rejection, all this pushback, all this negativity, When people keep saying the system, it's those who have accepted the mark. Okay. So again, now I'm gonna close out. I want you to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget. Also, support financially. Guys, just go right over there to PayPal. You see the link right down there in the description. And whatever you have, just support. Just support. Support if you can. I don't care if it's $2, $5, 20, 2,000. It don't matter. Whatever you can do, just support. Okay? So next week, what we're going to cover and what I'm going to go over is going to be the people who are invested in these systems and how they are invested in the processes. There are processes. So we're going to go a little bit deeper. I touched on it a little bit today, but we're going to go a little bit deeper so you can really understand the intricacies of what's known as the system. And then we're going to talk about breaking this generational, what people usually call generational curses. To be honest, and family generational curses, guys, they got it all wrong. God told the families to be fruitful and multiply. God never gave the families a curse. When the beast came into play, the beast created cycles and series that we know today as what's called generational curses that have been perpetrated from generation to generation. So remember, the beast has been into effect even since when they were talking about it in the Bible, and probably before then. They just got knowledge enough to translate it on paper. But even then, it was probably happening before then, which is true. And it's in our day right now. And even when we're gone, it'll still be in their day. So it's understanding what that actually is. God, the true source. I know I say God because we've been brainwashed to say God, but the actual true source of where we truly, as spiritual beings, as creation, really come from, versus these ideas that we have been taught and this system that we were made to, or what they make you bow down to. Do you understand that? Bow down just means saying that you would do it our way. And if not, we will cause problems for you. You understand? We will try to destroy you. We will try to destroy the very core of who you say your God made you to be. Because remember, that system is in rebellion to the true source. Okay. So again, I'm talking about those cycles and series of those systems. And really how it has so manifested. This thing is so manifested. It is deep, y'all. It is deep. It's deep and deep and dark. It's deep and deep. Let me tell you something, good people. If you got some good in your heart in the midst of all this darkness, you know that God is with you. Because this system is deep and the darkness is deep. It's very deep, guys. So I'm going to leave you with that. And I have a bonus too. So next week I'm gonna have a bonus. It's gonna be very, very good. I don't want to say what it is just yet, but it's gonna be good. So again, I'm gonna cover people who are invested in this thing, why they are invested, how it benefits them, and also breaking down what's known as generations of what's called cycles and series, and really touching on that. Okay, getting a little bit deeper with that. Because it's more than what we think it is. It ain't just this racism thing that you were told. It's bigger than that. Way bigger. So blessings, guys. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also support financially if you can, right there on PayPal. You can also support ads, Cash App too, if you do Cash App. Blessings to you all. And as Dan Rather would say, courage, my friends. Courage.